This was the first WWE on Raw on Netflix that I actually got a chance to sit down and watch. It's in its entirety. I'm just going to talk about a few things. I don't want to sit here and talk about the entire show. The biggest thing I want to talk about is John Cena's promo. Since John Cena turned heel back in Elimination Chamber, the feud between Cody Rhodes and John Cena as of right now has been lacking. And I feel like it's been lacking because The Rock left Cody and John sort of standing in the ring with their dick in their hands, so to speak. So I'll cut John Cena some leeway, mainly because this is his farewell tour. And for it being his farewell tour, and still having like Peacemaker and whatever else he's working on, I hope it's still just Peacemaker. But with him having all that shit going on, you understand his attendance being spotty throughout, at least up until Elimination Chamber. He's been on last week on SmackDown, Raw, and then he's gonna show up again. So that's 3 weeks. Meanwhile, The Rock just seems to fucking pop in every time, you know, WWE has something good going. Here comes The Rock to fuck it up. But what really disappointed me this time was the fact that last WrestleMania, The Rock sort of threw a wrench in the plans, and they sort of had to adapt to that in a way that I thought was really creative and well done. In fact, I'm sure that story is, that whole thing, the bloodline and all that shit, is the reason I got back into wrestling, because that shit was so good. And I don't know about y'all, but I find wrestling the most interesting when reality is inevitable. I like the botches, I like the mistakes, but I also love the behind the scenes drama. When I say drama, I don't mean the small shit. I mean things that interrupt the flow of the show, things that they got to maneuver around and pivot. I find that the most interesting aspect in the WWE. With last WrestleMania, they made the best of a, I don't want to call it a bad situation, but just a muddled situation. Granted, that was due because The Rock came in and tried to take over creative control and all this other shit. But truth be told, since The Rock has come back, we haven't gotten one story that seems plausible that we would have gotten. Like all that, maybe The Rock is the leader of the bloodline now that Roman lost and shit. Solo's kind of working for The Rock and shit like that. That went nowhere. And that was, matter of fact, I can't even say that went nowhere. I would just say that WWE chose not to go that route. Point is, all the interesting stories that was right there in front of them with The Rock, they couldn't do because The Rock's not available. Yet he's putting himself in this position where he needs to be there, if not every week, every other week, or every 3 weeks type of shit. Not just popping up at a pay-per-view because your contract says if you make a certain amount of pay-per-view appearances, you get a bonus or whatever.